The wealth formula. I want to talk to you about financial systems, and uh, and that's why I wrote this book. And the book is out now, and you can order your book, and you'll have it. Let's say they come out next week. You can actually order it, and they'll be physically in our hands next week. So if you order one now, it can be shipped to you next week. Okay. So the wealth formula is out. The book is out. And hello, Bob. How you doing, dear? So if you're interested in that book, just put wealth formula in the chat, and we'll send you the link. And you can get your book right now. You get your online book, or you can get your book sent directly to you. All right. Good evening, Bishop. How you doing, friend? It's good to see you too, Blue Lion. Top of the evening to you as well. And thank you so much, all of you all, for praying for my daughter. I'm about to go back and check on her again in a few minutes while I'm here. But there is improvement, and we will be taking her to a rehabilitation center so that she can be able to walk, get her legs back, get her strength back in her legs to be able to walk. Okay. So the reason I wrote this book, so let me give you all the wealth formula. And the wealth formula is mindset times skill set times tool set equals assets, and income always follows assets. So I co-wrote this book. Hey, Shantice, hi baby. That's my daughter there. She's doing good enough. Shantice, I told you you promised me you was taking a nap. I told you I was going live, and you said you was going to take a nap. You something else. All right. Take a nap, baby. All right. Hopefully, Daddy will put you to sleep while we talking. Hopefully. Hey, thank you, Bishop. Bishop Derek praying for you, Shantice. All right, all the way in Kenya with all those beautiful people there. So, um, so let me give y'all this. Let me give y'all this formula. Okay. So this formula is. I'm gonna put it in the chat over here. I'm gonna put it in the chat down here too. So it's MS. That's mindset times mindset times skill set times tool set um, equals all right equals assets. Okay. And income always follows assets. All right. So everybody got that? Oh, thank you, Key. Let me pin that down here. Thank you, Ken. I'll pin that comment. So that's the wealth formula for you all. It's pinned over here on that Instagram. So the reason I'm teaching you all this is because of either you have created your own ecosystem, or you are part of another person's ecosystem. The reason that we live and can't move around the way we want to, and the reason that we don't have the assets that we're supposed to have, is because we are not part. We haven't created the ecosystem. We're just part of the ecosystem. But the beautiful thing about money and life is that you can create your own life. So my life, I created my life. You said, no, you didn't. God created my life. God created my being. I created my life. Why? Because God is not going to create your life. God creates you as a human being, and then he gives you the wisdom to acquire wealth. So God is not going to make you wealthy. God is going to give you the wisdom to acquire it, which means that you are self-responsible for being self-governed. All right. And that's what we have not been taught. We have not been taught how to be self-governed. So we are task driven. So mindset is the first part of the book. And so as soon as you open up the pages and you start reading, first thing you're going to read about is mindset. And all you got to do is put wealth formula in the chat. Excuse me. We'll send you the link. And you get your book mailed out to you next week because everything's done. The final draft is done. Everything's done. Okay. So the wealth formula is here. This is a co-authored book between myself and my friend Myron Golden. And so Myron wrote a chapter in the book. I wrote the majority of the book. Myron wrote a chapter in the book as well. So it's a co-collaboration between Myron and I. Between the two of us, over the last 3 years, we've earned over $50 million online over the last 3 years between the two of us. So the wealth formula is a formula that Myron actually created, but I wrote the book on the formula that he created. So we did a co-collaboration, all right, because he's a genius. He's a very smart man. So I'm glad to have him as a friend. All right, so let's go over real quick what it is why this book is a good book. and why it might be something that you might be interested in. So the first part of the book, it talks about mindset. So either you are part of an ecosystem that you created, or you are task driven. Okay, so mindset means that you go from being task driven to task giving. All right, from TS to TG. All right, all right. So put that in the chat. From this is the formula. This is the first part of this wealth formula. From TS being I'm sorry, from being task driven, from TD, all right, to TG. All right, you got to put it in and re- rewind these and keep training yourself and keep training your kids. Okay. All right. So rewind this. Don't just listen to me talk to you all and just get a piece of pen and a paper out whenever you're available when we're talking, because I don't care when I'm talking. I'm teaching you whenever I'm talking. All right. So it's from TD, and that's from task driven to task giving. So you stop doing tasks that somebody gave you and you start giving tasks. So it's from TD to TG. All right, y'all got that? All right, let's get it correct. All right, Tammy, you have that correct. All right, let me see if the rest of y'all get that right. Doobie, do it the other way. You do it the opposite way, Doobie. All right, Ken, that's correct. All right, Huey, that's right. From TD to TG. All right, Bishop, no, you got to go. No, Bishop, go from TD to TG. All right. I'll make sure you get it right. I give you a chance to straighten it out. Okay. So if you're gonna create this, if you're gonna create a wealth formula in your favor, see, you're gonna be part of the wealth formula. The question is, are you gonna be on the money receiving part of it? Are you gonna be on the money giving part of it? Because everybody is in the middle of an ecosystem. All right. So it's from TD. All right. Amazing goddess. That's true. All right. From TD to TG. Okay. You got it right now, Doobie. Robert, you have that correct. All right. Callie, that's correct. Kathy, that's correct. All right. Lou, that's correct. Kenneth, that's correct. All right. Jermaine, that's correct. Simone, that's correct. All right. Okay. All right. So I got that. Good evening, Melissa. How are you doing? All right. Bishop, you have that correct now. All right. So it's from TD, from task driven to task given. So all of your life and all of my life, Jesus said, the poor you have with you always. Why is that? Because unfortunately, most people are task driven. They're not task giving. Why? Because most people have to be told what to do because they're not going to do it on their own. See, when you become self-governed, the way that I'm recommending, the way that we live, when you become self-governed, you wake up every morning with ideas to and you give the task of the ideas to people who are task driven, because most people are not task driven. Most people are not task giving, they are task driven, and that's a mindset shift that has to take place in order for you to be able to run a kingdom, in order for you to be able to have any real money, to have any real wealth. Then you have to switch up on that, which means you're going to have to do the hard work of actually thinking. I was just talking with my good friend Chan, the millionaire barber, and I was just asking him some questions about his affiliate program. He's the number one black man in the world who opens up barber and beauty schools. I spent last week with him and his beautiful mother. And he's very good friend of mine. I just really love him. So he's a very intelligent young man. But I'm always challenging him and asking him questions about, he has a massive empire. He's helped people build 2,000 beauty and barber schools around the United States. That's a big deal. All right. I mean, he's been responsible for a lot of people becoming wealthy and first generational millionaires and really helping their families and stuff. He's an outstanding young man. So, but I'm always challenging people when they're around me, which is why I do a challenge once a month, because I'm always going to challenge the way you are currently doing something. Could you be doing that more efficiently? Could you be earning way more money than you're currently earning? And are you creating tasks for people to do? All right. So if you haven't signed up for our challenge, by the way, you still have time to do that because we have 2 days left. And Monday, I will not be here teaching. I will not be, because it's just impossible. It's just too much energy doing a challenge because I'm all in. So if you want to join our challenge, I think I'm losing track. I think it's 37. This may be 38. I don't know. I'm losing track of what challenge it is, right? We're we're so task given until I don't even know the tasks that I give to other people. I can't remember every task I give out because I'm not task driven. I'm task giving, because that's how you build a kingdom, Hey, listen to me. So if you haven't signed up for the challenge yet, just put challenge in the chat if you want to come, and you still have an opportunity to be able to do so. So, in the first chapter of the book, I'm really teaching you all how to shift this way you think, and this way that you think, that because you've been trained through school, through the system, to be task driven, meaning that you're not thinking of the ideas. Somebody else came up with the ideas. Naturally, if somebody else comes up with the ideas, naturally, they're the ones that deserve most of the money. Are you hear what I'm saying? Uh, oh, you always got to have a leader, Velma. Okay, everybody has that. When you say a leader, Velma, you should always have somebody that you're accountable to. So yes, I'm accountable to several people. My main money mentor, physical, is Myron Golden. That's my main money mentor, physical, in terms of we collaborate with one another about some really high level stuff. We fly around the world in private jets and all that kind of stuff together. So, but most of my mentors, Velma, are either dead or I've never met them, because they make I just follow their ecosystems, the way that they do things, because you can get rich reading books and then implement the thing that you read in the book. You can get rich like that. Okay. So, so uh, mentors, just, best thing to do, Lance, is come to our challenges. That's the best way to get to know us, because when you meet rich people for real, we don't have personal appointments. Okay. People that take personal appointments with you because they need money. We don't need money. So it's $50,000 to have a personal appointment with me, and that means that you got a problem that's worth paying $50,000 for. So outside of that, to come to a challenge and be there all week long and be able to ask questions like you want to is dynamic for you, because you can be right in the middle of all this money, the way it's made, how we get these big, fat, gigantic income tax checks back for our trust, but not just that, how we teach you how to run a system, an ecosystem, in a week's time is a big deal. And the questions that you hear and all of that. So for me, that's the best way to get a mentor. Come to whatever it is that they do, and get acquainted with them. See, most people, not you, dear, not you, Lance, but most people, um, brother Lance, not dear, brother Lance, most people, the way that they think, this is the way most people think. They really think that this is why the mindset has to shift. Most people say, I need this and I need that. Not you, brother Lance. I'm talking in general. Okay. Most people say, this is what I need. And I would really like to come and like pick your brain. And I would really like to do this and I would really like to do that. But the person that you're talking to has zero motivation for that. Why? Because brain is not cotton. You don't come pick a person's brain. What you do is you learn about the person that you're trying to become more like. You don't try to get the person to come and become more like you. You want to become more like them. So when I meet people who are busy, I'm glad they're busy. I'm glad that they don't have time for me as an individual person, that they have a systematic, econic, ecosystem, a way of, I'm glad they do. Why? Because I'm like, if they didn't have an ecosystem, they wouldn't be much use to me. If I could just bum rush them like that and just walk into their life, and they got this little scattered life with the way that they're living, then I know that their mind is not right. All right. Oh, that's good, Melissa. Glad to hear that. So I know that their mind is not right. And I know that their mind is not qualified to advance my mind. In fact, when I meet people, I would rather pay them than for them to be telling me stuff for free. I, when I give people tasks to do, I always want to pay them whatever the best rate is. Just put challenge in the chat, Lance. Just put the word challenge in there, and a link will come to you. Boom, just like that. Okay, and then it probably came to you already. All right, and then you just sign up from there. So, are y'all listening to me? Are you hearing what I'm talking about? About this mindset shift thing? People be talking about like mindset is overrated. I'm like, no, mindset is underrated, because if you got some money, the wealth formula starts out with mindset. You're not getting to them other areas in the wealth formula unless you get your mind right first. It's not going to happen. Are you hearing me? And the first thing about a mindset is that you want to go from being task driven to being task given. But you have to learn how to give tasks. You don't just walk in giving nobody a whole bunch of things to do because you don't even know what to tell people. You don't even know how to give a person a task to do. So you start out by being a task taker, and then after a while, you become a task maker. All right. So everybody, just put that in the chat first. This is the mindset thing. Number one, a task taker, TT, and then from task taker to task maker. Now, you hear what I'm saying? So come on, that's another. I'm teaching you the wealth formula now. So I'm giving you some formulas out of the wealth formula. Okay. So TT to TM. All right. Let me make sure 10 of y'all got that right. Then I'll teach you the next part. Okay. TT to TM. You got to be a task taker first before you can be a task maker. You don't run in telling people what to do. That's not how it goes. First, you got to take a task, complete your task, because the Bible says you got to be faithful of a few things before God will make you ruler over many. And we got too many Indians, too many chiefs running around, and not enough. Got to be an Indian first before you can become a chief. All right. So you take tasks first, and then you make, then you can, then you can tell somebody else what to do. But ain't nobody listening to you because you don't even know what to do. So when you give out a task, then you have to get down. All right. So you say, how do you get $1,000 in 10 minutes? I don't even know what that question is, Jonathan. How do you get $1,000 in 10 minutes? My point is costs $50,000 an hour. So I don't even know what that. I don't even know what that question means, Jonathan. I don't know how to answer that question. All right. So here's so that's the first thing about this. That's about this mindset. So in other words, listen to me. You've been in the system all of your life. Okay. So you've been in a system all of your life. So a system all of your life, it systematizes you. You say, what is that, Ricky? It's a word I made up. Systematized. Right. So you have to become desystematized. All right. You say, what do you mean by that? You have to go from being used to doing tasks to giving tasks. And that's and the way that you get over that is that you get in a room with people who teach you how to actually become a task giver. See, in the system that you're in, you don't get taught how to become a task giver. In the system that you're in, you're taught how to be a task maker and to systematize you to live like that and to die like that. All right, like all your life. So all your life you are taking tasks from the time you're 25 to the time you're 65, and then you just retire off a little bit of money, and then you teach your kids to do the same thing. You say, okay, you all be task takers all your life, because you a task taker, you can't teach a person how to become a task maker. All right, you somebody has to teach you. They have to because this money is not made through theoretic teaching, like theory. It's made because you get in a room with people who actually give you the same power that they got. They just pass the power to you. In other words, they teach you how to become a task giver and not just a task taker. All right. So that's the first thing for us to understand. So we have to be desystematized. All right. Desystematized and go from being task driven to task given. All right. So how did that happen? How did that happen to us in the first place? What happened to us because in this system that we're in, we there are four levels of value in a monetary system in a marketplace. The lowest level is the person that actually does something. That's the implementer. So you make about $80,000 a year. All of this is in a wealth formula. So if you read my book, it'll really help you. Okay. So if you haven't ordered it yet, just put wealth formula in the chat and we'll send it to you. Okay. So and the book is out now. The book is out. The book is out. The book is actually out. The wealth formula is actually out right now. Okay. So all you gotta do is just put wealth formula in the chat and you can get it. Okay. All right. So you want to go from being, so this is why I'm telling you why we uh what's this dude? Hold on a second. We got somebody just put a bunch of nonsense inside the chat. All right. Okay, we could. Sometimes be trolls and stuff on here to just be talking crazy. They ain't got nothing better to do. They ain't got no life, you dig? So they just say a bunch of stupid stuff. So what you do is you push the block button and cut the marks off. So that's the reason I come on to teach y'all, so I can teach y'all to have some heart, and how to speak your mind You dig? And how to speak up for yourself, and how to take care of your family, and how to ignore folk and devils and demons and witches and warlocks and everybody come around you with anybody come around you with all that foolishness and all that nonsense. All right, because it's going to happen. You dig? But you just don't let that disruption become a distraction. You just keep on doing what you're doing. I've been dealing with demons and devils and all kind of warlocks and witches, and pretty much ever since I got saved, decided I was gonna start doing right. Okay, so as soon as you decide you're gonna start doing right, people decide they're gonna act a fool. So it ain't a big deal. You remember how in the book of Acts, how Paul, the apostle Paul, how once he decided he was gonna stop killing folk and decided he was gonna be a good man, decided he's gonna start like actually teaching the Bible and stuff, teaching people about Jesus. Like, he killing folks, killing saved, innocent people, murdering people, a serial killer, crazy as a box of rocks, right? So, but and so it was 40 dudes, the Bible say 40 dudes of a baser sort who put a hit out on Paul, said they weren't gonna eat nothing, they weren't gonna drink nothing until they killed Paul. You did. So good. I mean, when you taking off folks and they acting crazy, and good for you. That means that you're doing something right, and that you're ruffling people's feathers and stuff like that. That's because you're an amazing blessing. So you just keep being an amazing blessing, and keep your blood pressure like mine, 118 over 77 at 62 years old. So keep doing the same thing that you're doing. All right. Don't let nothing stop you. Don't let nothing slow you down. And as the young lady said right here, just pray for folk when they ain't got good sense. But cut them off. Don't let them on your lives and all that. I just press the button and just cut off whatever this troll foolishness is. So pray for people, but don't put up with their foolishness. All right. Why? Because you got big fish to fry. You got a whole lot of people to help, and you got an amazing life. Okay. All right. So you go from being task driven to task giving, but I'm teaching you why this. Hey Sandy, how you doing, dear? But I'm teaching you why this is so entrenched in the mind. See, this has to be taken out of your head. It has to be unentrenched. You got to be desystematized, or else you'll go to your grave strictly doing what you was told to do. You won't be creating the task. Are you hearing me? There are plenty of people who want to do a task. You be the one to create it. Don't be the one doing it. Now, I'm not telling you to stop being faithful in what you're doing. What I'm telling you is why you're doing. I know you've been task driven all of your life. I understand that. And what I'm saying is that while that's happening, you got to allow somebody to teach you how to start giving tasks. And then after a while, you'll just switch all the way over and you'll never be a task taker anymore. You'll be a task maker. Every day you'll wake up and you'll be creating tasks for people to do. That's how you run kingdoms. Okay. It'll happen for you, but it's not going to happen overnight. Why? Because that stuff has happened to you your whole life. But it will happen a whole lot faster if you get into the room with people who are desystematized. Can't put the word in there. Hey, kid, I can put a word I made up or something. That's a nice sounding word, ain't it? So desystematized. So desystematized. All right. So the second level in the marketplace is the level of management. You make about 250 if you work for a high power company. But managers are just task takers too. All right. They are no, not desensitized, remain desystematized. See, being in a system is being in a system is that's serious mind. That stuff is serious. That stuff because why do we behave the way we behave? It's because you've been in a system that's a strong spirit. And it's the spirit of just doing what you're told so you won't tell yourself what to do. It's the spirit of following tasks so that you won't create none. And to make some money, come on now. You got to create some tasks to make some money. So at the management level, even when you're making around $250,000 a year, you still just doing what you were told. But you make more money because you're telling other people what to do, but it's still what they told you to do. So you still can't make no real money. You say, man, 250, that sounds good to me, brother Ricky. I'm talking about generational money. The $250,000 is better than a sharp stick in your eye. But if you have a mind that's but if you got a mind that's way more potentially uh, got way more potential than that little money, then you robbing yourself. Are you hearing me? Just because they paying you that little money, you much more potentially capable than that little money you're making. So it doesn't make it's one thing to get robbed. I've been getting the first time I got stuck up, I was 4 years old on the south side of Chicago. I've been tied up in my own crib with duct tape. I know what it feels like. But it's a whole nother thing to rob yourself. Did you hear what I said? Don't rob yourself. See, you got to become desystematized or you will rob yourself because you're going to rob yourself of the most precious commodity that you have. And what's that? Time. Time robbers. Did you hear what I said? Time robbers are, that's what when you're being desystematized, the problem with it is that it makes you cool with wasting time. Why? Because that means that you happy with the money that you're making being based on the task that you just did because you did the task and now you're paying me for it. It just seemed natural, but it's what? It's natural in the system that you work for to make the people rich who giving you the task. But it's not natural for you. And it's not even possible for you to make some real money while you just following somebody else's task. So you have to be desystematized. And that's part of the reason why it's good for you to spend a week with us in a challenge because in 5 days, I can help desystematize your mind in 5 days. Because let me tell y'all something. Everybody listen to me real good. When you're explaining things to people, all right, and which is, let me just move on to the next set. The next set is skill sets. So let me just talk about this because the top two levels in the food chain is communication and creativity. We make between $100,000 a year to the hundreds of millions in those two categories, communication, and we're not task driven. We are task given. All right. So in these two levels, in order for this to be you, in order for you to stop being robbed of your time, then you have to understand that when you explain the things to people, don't try to get people to believe what you're saying as much as you just get a person to understand that what they're currently doing does not work. All right. Can I help you? I'm teaching you communication. This is a real high level of communication I'm teaching you right now. If you don't never see me again in your life, this will really help you. Okay. The idea of talking to a person is simply telling them, you ought to do this. You ought to do this. You ought to do this. You ought to do this because this is in your best interest. You really ought to do this. You really ought to do this. That does not work. Why? Because people don't do what they need to do. People only do what they want to do. Nobody does what they need to do. Everybody need to be in the gym right now. But most people eating Doritos. Are you hearing me? I got it. I'm hitting the gym tonight because I'm like, man, I'm tired of looking at this stomach. All right, so I'm like, I was down to 1.5. What the heck? It looked like I'm back up to 2 stomachs again. That's gross. So I'm hitting it tonight. All right, because 1 stomach will do. All right. Amen. Y'all want some of that 1 stomach anointing? So we all know that we ought to be doing sit-ups. We all know that we should be doing what? Get on that bike. We all know that we should be lifting some weights. We all know what we ought to be doing. But the question ain't whether you're doing it, whether you're doing what you ought to be doing. The question is, do you want to do it? So y'all ask me, how do you get people to do what they really want to do? How do you help a person to get some want to? All right. If y'all want to know the question to that, say tell us in the chat and I'll tell you. All right. Come on, tell us. I'm trying to get my daughter enough time to take a nap, even though I think she's listening to us right now, which is really not in the game plan. She's supposed to be asleep, so I go back and see her and check on her again. And I don't think she's being obedient. All right. But if y'all tell us in the chat, I'll tell y'all. All right. Okay. If 10 of y'all want to know, I'm going to tell you this is going to change your life. This is going to change your approach, and you're going to become much more effective. When you talk to a person, you're going to really be able to help a person do what they want to do, like you have not been able to up until this point when I tell you this. Okay. All right. So this is what will change your trajectory of your money. This skill set will. Okay. So this skill set will help you tremendously with your life. And this is the skill set, this communication skill set. And that's, you don't get people to just believe what it is you're telling them. You just get people to stop believing what's false. Okay. Did y'all get that? It's not your job to convince somebody to believe what you're telling them is true. That's not your job. In fact, it ain't your job to convince anybody to do anything, because when you're trying to convince people to do things, it's because You want them to do it for your reasons. That's what convincing is. And convincing does not work. It only works a handful of the time with gullible people. But even then, the person has buyer's remorse and wish they hadn't done it. Why? Because they don't want to do it. Are you hearing me? So you getting people to do things against their will and feeling like you got them. Are you hearing me? You didn't get nobody. They might have gave you a little money or whatever. Might have gave you a lot of money, but they resent you. Okay, they resent what they did, and they got an attitude that they just ain't telling you about. So they talk about you to everybody else and run down your programs and all that because they really want to be in it anyway. And they won't do what it was that you suggested. They just gave you some money, and now it's a bad relationship because you got all these lazy people around. So that's not a good way to live. That's a demoralizing, debasing, degenerated way to live. It's not the way kings and queens live. The way the kings and queens live is that we are amazingly good at persuading people to do what they already want to do. All right. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. And the best way to persuade people, I'm teaching you what's inside of my book now, the wealth formula. And for those of y'all who don't have the book, just put wealth formula in the chat because it's here. It's all the final proof and everything has been done. And starting next week, you can start getting your book. So we're gonna start mailing them out. You can order the ebook now, and the ebook probably hit your stuff by tomorrow if you just want an ebook. So you can order either one, a hard copy or ebook. That's up to you. But the wealth formula is out. Myron Golden and myself did it. So when you're talking to people, you really don't want to try to get them. I'm teaching you a high skill set right here. Okay. Because MS, that's mindset times skill set. So I'm teaching you a high skill set right now. So tell stories when you want to illustrate a point because nobody can remember hardly anything you said if it's not in a story form. All right. So here's a story that'll help you to, and you can tell this story. Okay. I'm telling you, memorize this story. It'll really help you to be able to make this point that I'm making. Okay, when you're talking to people. All right. So every eagle is born on or near a rock. Every eagle. Every time an eagle is born, he's either near a rock or born on a rock. Initially, when the eagle is on a rock, what happens is that it's cold and doesn't feel good. And they feel like they just out here. They just feel like, you know, they feel they feel abandoned. So what happens is that the mother eagle will go get some hay and some wood and come start building this nest around the eagle on that little cold rock. So the eagle's like, ooh, it's getting better around here. And then the mother eagle will kiss off and fly off, but the father eagle will come in and he'll get around the eagle and he'll swarm around him and he'll bring some fur and some stubble. And they'll keep this thing up. And they keep doing the same thing until they fill the whole nest up. And now the little eagle is sitting there like, man, this is the life. I'm having a great time. It's warm up in here. I feel secure. Life is good. But you know, eagles, the nature of an eagle is you can't sit up on a rock. The nature of an eagle is that you got to learn how to soar. And you can't even carry out an eagle's duties until you learn how to fly and soar. So they got to shock this eagle into a different type of attitude because he's too smug over here, just like the way we be raising our kids. We be thinking we be doing our kids a lot of favors when we be enabling them and putting all this fur and all this stuff on there. My daughter Shantice she is so trained and desystematized until I'm down here visiting her in the hospital now, and I got to keep telling her to stop calling y'all and sending messages to y'all. I'm like, she wakes up from all them drugs, and because she got a cell phone, I think I ought to take it. And she like, sorry, I just sent out 35 messages. But she's so desystematized until she knows how to give task out because she's taken over my kingdom. So I can't have her being task doer. She has to be a task giver. So she has templates and stuff that she's created to be able to send to people for the various things that they buy from us to tell them what they need to do next. She doesn't get on the phone doing the task, calling a whole bunch of folks. She has templates that go out automatically and they reach all these people, in nanoseconds. But she loves to do it, and I don't stop her from doing it because it seems like it's therapy while she's going through all that pain and stuff. So I'm like, you're a soldier, man. I say, the fact that you even want to do some work, I'm not going to stop you because if that's your therapy, if that makes you feel good, then you know what it is. But she's an eagle. So eagles, the reason she's an eagle is because I learned how eagles operate. And I said, I'm going to raise her the way that eagles raise they raise their little eagles. So um, the mother eagle comes in and see that this eagle is too satisfied with the way that they live. So they come in, they start taking that stuff off of their nest. They take the fur off, they take the stubble off, they take everything off of this eagle. And then the next thing you know, the eagle is sitting there butt naked. Like, what the heck is going on this cold rock? And like, man, life ain't like it used to be. Brrr. But before the eagle can start complaining about, how bad things are, the mother eagle comes in and scoops the eagle up and takes off and starts flying. Now, eagles are the only birds in the world that can fly directly towards the sun, and they can do about 110 miles an hour. Can you imagine being on somebody's back in the sky doing 110 miles an hour? Come on now. They get it. Now you hear what I'm talking about? And then the mother eagle decides they want to start showing off. And they just they turn upside down and start flying upside down just because they can, just because they got it like that. The baby eagle falls off of the mama's back and starts plummeting towards the ground in what appears to be a sure death, sitting there holding their breath, thinking, I probably got 3, 4 seconds to live. What they don't realize, though, is that the mother eagle can fly way faster than the baby eagle can fall. So before she hits the ground, the mother eagle scoops her back up, grabs them, and then what do you think that the mother eagle takes? I want to make sure y'all paying attention to this story. Y'all put it in the chat. She grabs that eagle up, and what do you think she takes the eagle right back to? Somebody put it in the chat, and I know y'all been listening, okay? At least 10 of y'all get it right, and I'll make sure I know that you've been listening, and then you'll be able to tell the story correctly because you actually following along, all right? So what did you take them back? If y'all don't tell me then, I know I'm talking to myself, all right? Okay, I'm listening. I'm watching. Back to the, all right. Tanita, you got that right. Now the rest of y'all jump in that cab. All right. Tanita got it right. Let's go. All right. Truth and controversy. No, not back up in the air. No, no. All right. Jane, you got that correct. All right. All right. All right. Original Phantom. Phantom, you got that right. All right. That's correct. Uh no, not back up to try again, Elena. No, not back to the sky tornado. No, not back into the air. Uh-huh. Sheila, you got that correct. All right. Okay. Callie, that's correct. Okay. All right. I need about 5 more of you all to get this right. Okay. Callie, that's correct. All right. I'm not going to say it. I just want y'all to get it right. Okay. Because you'll remember your homework when you're the one that actually did it. All right. Dwayne, that's close, but it's not a nest anymore. All right. Gatewood, that's exactly right. Regina, that's right. Ed Gate, that's correct. All right. Amazon Goddess, now you have it right. James, that's correct. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Darnell got it right off the top. Okay. All right. So Jermaine, that's correct. All right. Dwayne, that's right now. So she takes the eagle, the baby eagle, right back to the rock, not back in the air. Because why? She wants the baby eagle to get rid of all of those lies in her head. She wants the baby eagle to realize that it ain't nothing wrong with this rock. This rock is beautiful. This rock is lovely. In fact, this rock is way better than your almost death that you almost had. When you're explaining things to people, you're not trying to get them to believe what you're telling them because they cannot believe what you're telling them why they already believe a lie. Did you hear what I said? They cannot have simultaneous beliefs. Are you listening to me? I'm teaching you today some of the things that you learn. I didn't teach this exact lesson in a wealth formula, but it's got plenty of lessons in it that are comparable. Okay. And one thing that you'll learn by reading this book is you'll learn how to communicate like the 1 percentiles. That we are 1 percentile of the human population in communication. That's why we make so much money because we know how to really communicate with people. We don't try to force people to do anything. In fact, we totally resent that. Um, so so are y'all getting what I'm saying? Are, are y'all getting what I'm saying? Do you see the difference between how you've been systematized to approach people? And that's simply to come to the person and just tell them you ought to do this. But they ain't gonna do it. Why? Because they don't believe what you're telling them. Because they've been systematized to not believe the simple things that actually work. They believe it's got to be complicated. It's got to be convoluting. That's what statutory law and everything is about. It makes you think that if it ain't complicated and confusing, then it can't be true. All right. That's what statutory law is all about. You hear what I'm saying? So, common law, what we teach, the Bible, is extremely simple, extremely straightforward. What? You reap what you sow. All right. You pick up what you plant. Just the simplest principles of life. What? But not when you get out here and this convoluting the system, the systematized, this systematized, systematic way of being taught and trained through the school system. That stuff mess your head up, and I know it. So when I'm dealing with people, I just simply let you know that what you're doing, it doesn't work, and you keep doing it if you want to. That's up to you. What we're doing over here is we got out of that because we know it don't work, and we know it's got to be a better way. So when that eagle got back to that rock, that eagle appreciates that rock right now. All right. Everybody put appreciate it in the chat. And I teach you this last point before I go see my daughter again. All right. So everybody put appreciate it in the chat. All right. Put appreciate it and teach people how to appreciate what you got. You get it now, truth and controversy. Now you get what I'm saying? Okay. So put appreciate it in the chat and teach gratitude to everybody that comes around you. And don't never take nobody's money, allow them in anything that you're doing that ain't grateful. All right, just let them know, look, we have a very appreciative culture that we operate out of. And if you're not an appreciative person, it's not going to work with you. Why? Because people who are not appreciative are just not very smart. They just make bad decisions on top of bad decisions. Why? Because they unbelievers. Unbelievers, man, don't have good sense. Are you listening to me? They don't believe. You got to deal with a person's unbelief. Are you do? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Once you deal with a person's unbelief, then that person becomes one of the best advocates and ambassadors for anything it is that you all doing together. Because when you advocate for people, they become advocates. Did you hear what I said? When you stand up for people, they start standing up. Are you listening to me? Are you hear what I'm talking about? So, um, so that's so that's hopefully that helps you to be able to understand just a little bit about this high level mindset training and people underestimating the human mind and how it works, and underestimating how once you learn how to really communicate with people, not talk at people, not listen at people, but actually communicate with people, then you'll find out that there are millions and millions and millions of dollars in the system that you created because you create your own system and your own culture, and people will be drawn towards that system and drawn towards that culture because you created it, and they can see that you are not a iterator, somebody that's just repeating some stuff you heard, but you actually a thinker, a thinking man and a thinking woman at the communication level, and they respect you for that. And then not only do they respect you, but it becomes a thing of adoration. And then people are like, okay, so I appreciate the fact that you are smart. I appreciate the fact that you know how to communicate. I appreciate the fact that you are teaching me what I didn't know in a kind of way where I can teach it to somebody else too. So let's rock and roll. That's what the wealth formula is. It's number one, mindset. Number two, skill sets. And once you got a good skill set, now you can use the tool sets, which is number three. So you say, what tool sets? Okay, so we're using a tool set right now called MiniChat as I'm speaking to you right now. So you say, what do you mean, Brother Ricky? So some of you all, you want to read the book. Okay, so right while I'm talking to you, some of you all are ordering the book because I can see it come across on my notifications that some of you all actually ordered the book, went into the link, and you made a purchase of the book while we're talking right now. So this is part of the system with me giving a task to MiniChat. So MiniChat is, a robot. And all you gotta do is just tell the robot what to do. All right. So once you put in wealth formula in here, the robot sent you the link. Obviously, I didn't send you the link. Why? Because I'm talking to you. Right? Is that right? Now, everybody put that's right in the chat. All right. Come on, come on, come on. Put TR in the chat. Am I talking to you? I'm not pressing buttons, right? So how in the world did you get the link in the second that you asked for it? because ManyChat sent it to you. That's a powerful tool. Are you hear what I'm saying? Thank you, Amazon goddess. Amazon, amazing goddess. Thank you so much for praying for us, Shantice. I appreciate that. But isn't that right? Helen, that's right. Levon, that's correct. All right. Jermaine, that's right. All right. And excuse me. So it's an amazing tool. It is just one tool. So what I don't want you all, the reason that you want to get your mind right first and your skill set right first is because the tool sets, they don't mean nothing if your mindset and your skill set are not right. The tool set doesn't mean it because you don't know how to use it. You know what I mean? You don't want to get a big sharp saw that you don't understand how to use, and walking around the house, you'd be to cut your own furniture up, because you don't understand how to use it. So you don't want to use this AI stuff lazily where you expect it to do work that you haven't done. In other words, you put the stuff together so that when you can give a command or something, like I don't let AI do none of my ads. I don't let it create none of my headlines. I don't let it create none of that. Why? Because I have a genius's mind. All right. And if I was you, I would invest in your ingenious mind because you have one as well. The only problem is that you've been task driven, so you haven't been task giving. So you haven't spent enough time with your mind to come up with the ideas to give the task to the robot to tell them what to do. Now, you hear what I'm saying? So you see why I'm walking you into what I'm walking you into so that you can understand how the formula works. And again, if you haven't gotten a book, it's a good book for you to get. The Wealth Formula. Where else are you going to learn what I'm teaching you? All right. It's the only book in the world that's been written on the wealth formula. Right. So you can't I can just run down the street and get another one. Okay. So just put wealth formula in the chat and ManyChat will send you the link right now. All right. And then you can be reading it by next week, being one of the first people to start reading the book before it comes out and take advantage of it. See, because unfortunately, we're living in times that are gone by because we don't understand how to use the tool sets, the digital tool sets that are out. The Wealth Formula is a book about how to build up digital assets and how to have income that just comes in consistently without you doing anything, which leads to um, the last thing, and that's assets. So this is what the Wealth Formula is: mindset times skill set times tool sets equals assets. Okay. And Jermaine, you say, yeah, your book, yeah, you get it mailed out next week, Jermaine. Um, so equals assets. So we said, now write this down because you never heard this before. Matter of fact, I never even said this to anybody until God just told me about a half of before I just started talking to you all. So I've never said this to anyone. So I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you? Real, really. God bless you. So this is the beautiful thing. Once you have once you've done what it is that we're talking about, once you have this ecosystem running, then you have effortless income. See, the Bible says, labor not to be rich. In other words, you create the ecosystem, and the ecosystem does the work. You just do the work of creating it. And then as things get good, you just create some more. And then as things get better, you just create some more. And then as things get better, you just create some more. All right. So it's effortless once you get to this point. Once you get to this point, it's effortless. And what's your question, Deidre? To start the financial IQ test. Financial IQ test. That's the financial. It's not a financial IQ test. There is the financial IQ challenge. So just put challenge in the chat, Nidra, and a link will come to you right now. Okay. All right. So just put challenge in the chat, and it'll come to you right now. Right now while we're talking. Okay. So this is the last thing I want to talk about. This is the beautiful part. Once you do things this way, once you have this whole ecosystem set up, you know, and then you have mindset times skill sets times tool sets, then you automatically have assets. And the assets are not a request. The assets are a result. Did y'all hear me? not a request, a result. This ain't nothing you got to pray for. Did you hear what I said? The only prayer that you want to pray on about this thing is thank you, Lord. Not, hey, Lord, now that I've done this, will you please bless the assets that I have? Will you please do this? And Lord, will you please do that? I'm not telling you to get so sanctimonious until you don't think you need God and not to pray. But I'm teaching you the practical application of the Bible, which is why so many people who do a lot of religious stuff ain't got no money. I'm like, because you're not using the practical application of what you've learned. You're doing this religious stuff. Okay. And this religious stuff does not make money. The way that money is made is that you practically have a systematic way, an ecosystem that you created. Right. So once you create the ecosystem, you will reap what you sow. And you ain't got to ask no, you ain't even got to get up and pray. All you just pray to God to keep you alive. Are you hear what I'm saying? Why? Because the ecosystem did everything, and now the income is not a request. The income is a result. Did you hear what I said? Once you get things done at a certain level, uh, once you get things set up at a certain level, MS times SS times TS, then the assets are. Ain't y'all happy to know that? I said, aren't you happy to know that? If you're happy about that, put mighty glad in the chat because I'm about to go. But I'm just mighty glad because I know that you can come from any kind of situation to becoming wealthy and stably wealthy too. I mean, sustainably, substantial wealth that can be sustained. Because now you ain't. I said, ain't y'all glad? If you're glad, put mighty glad in the chat. Ain't you glad about that? That ain't it? Don't you hate guessing and wishing and hoping? You know, guessing and wishing and hoping. And don't you want a system that actually works? Okay. And then you're like, okay, now I got that's what the wealth formula is. It's a system that you cannot do it. I'm teaching you to do and not make a lot of money. It's impossible. Are you hearing me? Why? Because that wealth formula is 100% biblical. Myron created it, and I wrote the book on it. All right, and I'm just giving you a few little tidbits of it so that you'll understand, why we wrote this book and what's going on. Because I want y'all to take it and teach your kids. I would be teaching lessons out of it. I would be getting homework out of it. I would be reciting things out of it, and then I would start, actually exercising it, and then you'll see that the wealth formula is not a guess. All right. And you ain't got to, and you praise God, you thank God. But when you get through doing what I'm teaching you, your prayer to God should simply be, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for giving me the strength, the energy, the wherewithal to be able to actually carry out this formula because this formula is biblical, 100% biblical. And so help me to be able to thank you, Lord, for helping me be able to do that because the results, they just come in. Are you listening to me? Every day I see results. We make money every single day and we make a lot of money we make millions of dollars and we make a lot of money every single day and we don't have to do anything to make the money because the system created all the money. Are you hear what I'm saying? And it's the result. It's not a request. Did you hear what I said? Listen, this is what the Bible means when it says that the righteous, we take things by force. It's not talking about beating people up. It's not talking about running folks over. It's not. You talking about the challenge? Okay, just put uh, a wealth formula. Just put. Are you talking about the wealth formula, Carlos? Or are you talking about the challenge? So, if for whatever reason a link doesn't come to you right now, like ManyChat didn't work or something, then the social media team will still send it to you. Okay, so don't worry, we'll still send it to you. You'll get it, and we'll make sure that you get it today. Or if for whatever reason it's not working, then we'll send it to you on YouTube. For you all, we have to physically send it to you because it doesn't allow ManyChat to work on YouTube. Okay, so if you're on YouTube and you put challenge or you put something, then it's not going to come. All right, we have to do it for you. Okay. All right. So did that help y'all? Did y'all get some help today? Put show enough in the chat if y'all got some help. All right. I'm gonna run back over here and check on my daughter and put show enough in the chat if y'all got some help. Did y'all get some help today? Is that something now that you can go execute on your own? All right. Was it worth your Saturday afternoon? Do you think so? All right. Okay, I got to get out of here. I love you all. You all have a beautiful day. And for some of you all, I'll see you shortly. I see some names I believe I know. And I look forward to seeing you all in the challenge. I see a few names, some of you all, and I know we're going to have a great time next week. And for those of you all who haven't signed up yet, just put challenge in the chat, and we'll send a thing to you. We'll make sure that you can come on over too. So be blessed in the city, be blessed in the field. Take the things that we teach you, put it into action. Teach your kids. If you have grandchildren, teach your grandchildren. You want them to know. I know you're going to school, and I know you're studying algebra. I know you're studying finite math because I've taken both of them. I know you're studying calculus. I've taken that too. I know you're studying. I realize that you're studying statistics. I've taken 2 classes. Okay, and I realize that you're studying chemistry, and I realize that you're trying to be an engineer. I realize all of that. But here's a formula that it's going to be required for you to learn if you're going to be in this household. Okay, and that's the wealth formula. We live in a different time. We live in a digital age, and you're not going to be making money in a time that's already gone by because it's gone and it's gone forever. So have your kids who are on these phones all day anyway, wasting their precious time. You learn the wealth formula and teach it to them. All right, I got to run. Love you all. Been upon pleas and pleasure as well as a privilege. Y'all have a great, wonderful, phenomenal, fantastic day. And remember that stellar is as stellar does. Grace and peace to you. And thank you so much for praying for my daughter. I'm extremely grateful. Extremely grateful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Okay. I'll see y'all. Take care.